seeing gameplay from Fnatic in game number 1 where CLG, it was a stomp in game number 1. I believe it was like 10-2 in kills or something like that, and it was just absolute domination by CLG. We saw Fnatic adapt to the play style. CLG played a little bit differently given the fact, and Fnatic actually identifying this by banning out Anivia as well as Twisted Fate to target out GG a little bit. They've matured a bit, they've identified what CLG wants to do, and they're able to match it. And the game was so even until CLG started getting picked out of place. They started falling apart of themselves. Fnatic held it together, and we're going to have to see. I mean, if anything, we had Game 1 CLG stomped. Game 2 it was relatively even. Now is Game 3 Fnatic going to learn from everything and stomp CLG?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they come around. If CLG can come around, or if Fnatic tries to drive the nail home, they get the Lee Sin once again, which is going to be really strong for them. But the interesting thing is Fnatic, starting to respect Big Fat a little bit more. He still gets Orianna, which is going to be incredibly strong. I mean, Orianna is an insanely good champion. However, it means that they're not getting quite as many bans onto Hotshot, and that could be a Hotshot Cho'Gath, but it could also be a Cho'Gath in the jungle. We've seen Chalster do Cho'Gath in the jungle a couple of times, and it works particularly well with Vayne. When you're running a Vayne, you can support, and it works well against Lee Sin. Well, guess what? No Nunu pickup. Nunu was available as one of their first picks. They didn't grab it. I'm guessing they're swapping up their AD. So I'm guessing, they were very happy with what the Caitlyn did and the pressure they had early in the game, but they want to get a little bit more of a late game advantage. They wanted to know the longer the game goes that they're going to shut it down and win. So I think that's going to be Chalster in the jungle with Cho'Gath. Then top lane, there's a lot of options. They could go Rengar on Hotshot. Shen is still available, and that would also help Vayne. So they have a lot of flexibility right now, but Fnatic, they have their team comp. They have the Lee Sin, Ezreal, and Katarina, and all three of those champions, we've seen them played together before by various teams, but they have quick burst potential, but they also have a lot of survivability, so they can sit around the backside of those fights and then jump in at the last second or pick people off when the opportunities arise.
One thing that CLGNA has done here is,
first
off, there's the Vayne that they're going to be picking up, and that's what I was looking for. I was looking for the Lulu to pair with the Orianna ultimate. On top of this, they have, potentially Chalster or a Hotshot playing Cho'Gath. They've taken that away from Cyanide. He wasn't that much of a factor in fights. He, of course, had the crowd control that Cho'Gath offers and the giant tankiness and just being a giant body that he offers as well. But we've been talking about this whole entire time about how Cho'Gath is a very controlled jungler. He keeps his jungle under control, and he's able to go in and steal away from the enemy jungle if need be. On top of this, he still provides pretty powerful ganks, earlier on than level 6 than some of the other junglers are available, such as a Skarner or champions along the same side of that, or like an Amumu, for instance.
I'm really curious what Fnatic's going to do here, for the various options. I think they're going to send Lee Sin in the top, but actually maybe they'll use the Rengar, but I was wondering what they're going to do for support, and it seems they're going to lock in on Leona, because in this situation, Vayne and Lulu is such an insanely strong lane, and Lulu does very well against Leona. We saw TSM versus, I guess, Curse EU. TSM versus Curse EU, but Toy was playing Lulu, and he just dominated Xpecial and Chaos in the bottom lane, just zoning them off there, and they go actually last second with Olaf. So we'll see if it's going to be Olaf on Hotshot or if it's going to be on Big Fat, or on Chalster. I think they're going to have Chalster in the jungle as Cho'Gath. So I think that's what they're going to lock in. It's what they have now, but we'll see if that's solidified, and they have a really great team for protecting that Vayne later in the game.
Taking a look at the side from Fnatic, they're kind of missing that one big tank they had in Cho'Gath last game. If Soaz is going to build very, very damage dealing, we're going to have that beefy kind of Rengar that we've seen a lot of teams playing this tournament. However, we haven't seen it really out of the jungle on anybody except for really I Will Dominate from Dignitas. He's built an Aegis of the Legion. He's built a little bit more health and more resistances on that Rengar, but he's not going to be getting the same kind of farm that he's going to be getting if he were in a top lane. It will be providing ganks for his team, but he's really going to be setting things up for Katarina and Ezreal to take control. And there's the swap going down. Soaz going to be playing Rengar in the top lane, and Cyanide's going to be playing Lee Sin in the jungle. So now we have a very active, jumping all over the map with wards, Cyanide on Lee Sin, and we have Soaz being able to be that Rengar on top lane who may build the very standard or I wouldn't say standard, but the very familiar to this tournament, tanky Rengar building health and resistance.
And Lee Sin has been arguably the #1 jungler for a while now. So, Lee Sin can put on all of that pressure and combos very well with Katarina. Like we said in the previous game, that's something that Alex and Diamond have done a lot, the Lee Sin Katarina combo. But Rengar, again, has been very strong in that top lane. And Rengar later on in teamfights, he gives them another means of initiating onto Vayne and trying to pick Vayne off. And that's what Leona wants. Leona wants to be able to lock down Vayne and just have too much CC that double lift cleanses but still can't escape. And that's going to be the concern for CLG. Cho'Gath, he gives great separation for Vayne. That's really one of the strengths of him. He can control the jungle very effectively against the Lee Sin. But he's also, with the Rupture, going to be able to lock down team fights and protect them there. Then they have the Lulu as well. Orianna does the same thing. So it's a really strong team from CLG as far as team fights are concerned. They just don't want to fall behind to some of Fnatic's early aggression. And a real question is going to be what's going to happen in that bottom lane. Because, if Fnatic, if Leona gets a couple of early kills, they can maybe snowball against that Vayne. Otherwise, Lulu can be very dangerous, but with her harass. But if Leona is able to hit either of them, then they're going to have a difficult time getting out of there.
I'm actually looking at the summoner spells that Fnatic decided to take. Soaz is running Ignite in that top lane, so he may be looking to be a bit more aggressive and go for some kills there. Like we said, trying to itemize for his team a bit more. Then we have Xpeke now running Teleport, so Katarina doesn't have that Ignite to get as aggressive in that mid lane. However, she has the Teleport to give herself a little more map-wide presence. Similarly enough, we have Reckless now, instead of taking Ignite, has gotten Heal, or I'm sorry, taking Cleanse, has taken Heal against the composition from CLG.
And knowing that Hotshot is running that teleport, Fnatic makes a hard move right into this blue. They have CLG has early ward coverage, so Hotshot warding down by the river. It keeps an eye on that entrance point, and they have wards on the blue. So, or actually the just the ball on the blue, but really quick early wards. Fnatic knows that Hotshot, he's going to want to level 1, just take this blue for himself, and then teleport into lane, and then you can lane against anyone. 1v2 with Olaf, if you have the blue, it's easy. Like, you just sit there and clear the minions. It's not that big of a deal. And so that's what's going to be Hotshot's goal. The rest of the team is actually making their way into the other blue to try and steal that, and Fnatic backs off. I don't think it's going to be close to whether or not they have enough time to make it up to their own blue, so CLG actually backs off of that. They're going to send Vayne and Cho'Gath top, or sorry, Vayne and Lulu top. That's a really great 1v2 lane. Vayne is one of the strongest in the game at zoning out, melee's top, and Lulu as well gives pushing potential and also great zoning, and it means that they don't have to lane against Leona. And in the meantime, Hotshot grabbing the wolves. We'll see if he makes his way down and takes that blue.
Fairly certain that ward they put in that bottom brush when Fnatic was invading also spotted them recalling all at the same time, which let the other members of CLG know they needed to back off. We saw Locodeco being content to just put a ward down and then walk away, so they might have actually stuck around for the invade, and ooh, they are going to go with that ward in place.
So Hotshot, he's looking pretty because he has that blue, but the rest of CLG is trying to come in this Cyanide. He's going to be able to control that. The Glitter Lance, very close there, trying to time it. They had the ward, and they were just trying to steal it there. But in the meantime, actually, there's the Shumpo coming in. Xpeke trying to pick it up. He gets the first blood with the ward, even though Hotshot's able to grab that blue. Xpeke with the great awareness while CLG is out of position.
He used the teleport on the ward they had there.
Oh, that is brutal. The teleport being down, and that really locks up Hotshot in that bot lane. He's level 2 still, but Xpeke with a massive early advantage, level 2 and blue buff. The blue buff, not that significant, but the cooldown reduction will allow Xpeke to farm a little bit more easily. But taking it off of Hotshot, that really hurts his lane a lot. And they've actually swapped their bot lane as well. So they want Leona and Ezreal to make sure they're laning against Vayne.
And on top of this one, ooh, good tumble away from double lift as the Zenith is not able to connect there from N-rated. On top of all this, Katarina goes into the lane with an advantage, whereas Orianna spent time leashing those rates for Cho'Gath and then trying to take that blue buff away. So she's been out of lane for a little bit. Katarina got a little bit of the experience and bonus, even though Orianna has a couple more CS.
And Shawster coming up top, he has the red buff. If they can set N-rated and Reckless behind, then it's going to just cancel any sort of aggression. They just hit level 2, the perfect timing, the one last minute. There's the slow, the exhaust as well. N-rated, he gets the stun, flashing out of that Rupture, but they are back. Shawster a little bit low, but they are low as well, and so really nice play. N-rated just barely getting out of there, but it's going to give Vayne and Lulu a little bit of time, and you saw they were level 1 when that fight started, and they hit level 2 right in the middle of that aggression.
And And on top of this one, the lane is pushing forward, so Vayne has a bit of a cushion to farm.
Chauster just zoning.
Is continuing to zone out Reckless here, taking a bit of damage here, but Locodoco's going to pop the shield on him. Glitterlance going off to zone out Ezreal as well. This is going to get Vayne a little bit of free farm. On top of this, it's burned the flash on Leona, so if Chauster wants to come again in just a little bit after clearing out more of his jungle, support's actually not going to have that flash to say that, and see Hotshot saying hello to Cyanide in the bottom lane there.
Yes, he's going to slow him down a little bit, but keeping good ward coverage, and that's what CLG's done so far in this game. They know that Fnatic is a really aggressive team. Well, across the entire map, they dropped 6 wards at like level 1. Hotshot being forced back, the quick burst from Soaz, but he was already pushing into the turret, so it's not really going to deny him much, but it still is, you know, the threat of Rengar as the lane progresses, that quick burst. But really impressive ward coverage from CLG. It does put them a little bit behind on gold, you know, to their first items in lane, but as long as it keeps them safe and they're comfortable with these lanes and they're comfortable with their fights later on, that's a sacrifice they're willing to make.
This top lane here now, that lane is still pushed heavily towards CLG's tower.
Hotshot actually used his teleport bot just to get back in lane, so just noting real quick. Sorry, continue.
No problem. Xpeke actually, no teleport on him, but he is roaming up here. He wants to put up some pressure. As I was saying, this lane is pushed up very heavily in the face of CLG, and if they're going to get a dive here, it'll at least let the top lane push in and get that lane reset. Cyanide's actually here too, so it looks like they might just be looking to kill Doublelift off early.
Yeah, but they know they're safe because check out that ward from Locodoco early on. He wanted to make sure that Lee Sin couldn't get in anywhere because they couldn't allow any early aggression, but they're zoning them off the turret. Now that Chauster's here, Xpeke has left, they're going to push them back and make sure they can take back control of that turret there. But really impressive play, and now Hotshot starting to take some damage on Soaz. He does have that heal, but both of them have a lot of burst damage. Olaf has the benefit in the lane of having a little bit more sustained damage. Rengar early on, he has quick burst, but he has really long cooldowns. So if he's caught out of position, that could be dangerous.
And we saw when these two were going head-to-head, Hotshot hit with an undertow and then a reckless swing. Probably did more damage to himself than Soaz actually did to him, but he definitely brought the pain onto Rengar. Rengar, of course, going to be a little bit squishy in the earlier stages of the game. That's why a lot more people have been building him a bit tankier. He does have a lot, like you said, burst damage, not really sustained, but he's like a Katarina. He has so much damage early on, he doesn't necessarily have to itemize for damage first. He can build that tanky build. He can build items that the team is going to want. Like Xpeke is going to be able to go Haunting Guise, Abyssal Scepter, Zanya's Hourglass to survive these engagements they're getting in. Similarly, Rengar can go for a Warmog's armor. He can maybe pick up an Aegis Legion for the team early on if it's not already going to be acquired on Lee Sin. He can build and itemize for things that can keep him alive in fights, just because if he gets that second round of cooldowns, his damage is already a lot.
And now CLG timing to make sure that they get Vayne away from that Ezreal and Leona combo because they were threatening them so hard. And N-Rated being extremely aggressive has been playing this lane very well in both the previous game and this one. So Hotshot, he has the Ninja Tabi, which is going to allow him to survive in that top lane, but they're pressuring the bottom lane once again. They want to get Doublelift farm. I'm a little bit surprised they didn't take the opportunity to go for the Dragon, but they're still a little bit concerned. They don't want to force any early fights, particularly against Lee Sin, who's incredibly strong early on in the game.
Well, we do have Rengar returning in the top lane, so they are going to wind up swapping the lanes back to one another. So we could still potentially see CLG dealing some damage to this turret beforehand, regardless of the fact Doublelift going to get a little bit of a CS advantage from the fact that they swapped first, and Ezreal did spend some time trying to trade damage with Olaf in top lane. Olaf actually dropping extremely low up here. Looks like Rengar going to go in here. Xpeke comes up from mid lane, but Hotshot going to be able to get away. Ignite from Soaz, not going to be able to take him down.
Yeah, and that quick burst damage is insane. And so if Soaz can use his burst damage and then combo with any of his allies, that's going to give him a lot of an advantage. And then he gets to use the regen. So as the lane progresses, Rengar is just such a strong laner because of that burst. And then, you know, you sit back, heal a little bit. So that's a really nice combo. We see Lee Sin's coming up. There isn't a ward this time, so they can get in range. N-Rated trying to hit Doublelift, but Doublelift avoiding it perfectly and actually gets a lot of damage onto N-Rated. That is the concern with Leona, but there's the Lee Sin Q coming in. The dodge getting out of there, so he doesn't hit the slow. That would have been a dead Doublelift, but he still has to back off, and he had to use his flash as well.
Yeah, and they did a good job there of blowing the Whimsy from Locodoco because Leona already used all her cooldowns to get a little bit of damage and tank a bit of damage coming out from Doublelift. The Whimsy being popped on a Leona with no cooldowns let every single spell and every single damage that Lee Sin and Ezreal were going to be putting down on the Doublelift and Locodoco just land. It forced them out of the lane. They had to go back. They had to buy items. This gave, of course, Ezreal a little bit of breathing room. He's got his own lane pushing a bit now. He has some money in the bank that he hasn't spent yet from the lane swap. He could potentially just go back here and still try to stay on par with Doublelift and not get a little bit ahead.
And you see how confident Soaz is right now. He's really strong in that top lane, so he comes down, steals the race, and then wards the red so they can keep vision of it, and Cyanide walks right up. There's a ward from CLG, so still, both teams with really great ward coverage. Fnatic a little bit more on the offensive end, trying to see if they can get opportunities to pull ahead early on, and CLG just completely countering it out with great defensive wards. They're going to be able to hold on to that red and just keep themselves safe in this early game and just try and keep that farm even.
Like we mentioned before in the second game, it's almost like Fnatic is maturing before our eyes just as a team in this series. They saw what CLG did. They took a minute in between games and were like, okay, well, how did they do that? Well, they put a lot of wards down. We saw Cyanide on Cho'Gath last game, putting wards down, getting those Oracle's elixirs, making sure his team was able to stay advantageous. This game, they're doing something a little bit different, though. CLG's wards are for the most part, defensive or in the river to keep their lanes warded and keep them safe. On the side of Fnatic, they're warding aggressively by the enemy buffs. They have a ward over by the red buff. They are forward advanced into the river. They are the ones being the aggressors in this game because they know they can this time around. They know that if CLG wants to play for that defensive kind of stall, this team is a little bit more team fight centric, so they can push out and win their lanes early, get the aggression, get the vision. They can deny CLG that positioning and team fight that they want in their health.
Now Hotshot chasing down Soaz. He pops his ultimate. He has a lot of damage. He actually has a lot of burst. He could almost turn this, but he has to watch out because of this. He doesn't have enough sustain. Chauster coming up as well. There's the Rupture. It's not going to hit, and they aren't able to pick up that kill. But Hotshot being able to push Soaz out of lane, and Chauster coming up for the backup. So nice play there. But CLG recognizes in this game that if they allow any early kills to Fnatic, this game could just snowball so quickly. And now Fnatic, with that Wriggles, or Madreds onto Lee Sin, knowing that Chaucer's up top, they come down bot, they go for this dragon, and Katarina's not there as well, so Orianna could press it, but because Leona and Ezreal are so strong early on, they probably won't, so they're going to be able to grab this pretty quickly. But you see CLG, they're closing on them. The dragon is theirs, but the question is, will they be able to get out?
Doublelift, Locodoco, Glitterlance goes on to only end-rated. Cyanide does get the Safeguard Iron Will onto an ally, so he does not get condemned against the wall. He gets condemned through the Tri-Brush, so CLG is going to back off of this one for now.
Any early kills, any early advantage could just really quickly pull this into Fnatic's favor. They get the gold lead from that dragon, just pressuring CLG. But CLG's done a really nice job not allowing any kills for the most part. There was the one death, but for the most part, protecting themselves against Fnatic. And now Doublelift getting some great damage onto Ezreal, and that's the strength of this lane, is getting that quick burst damage as long as they can avoid the Zenith Blade. He hits her that time, but there's the level 6 Leona. The Ezreal actually misses, and so they don't take down Doublelift in enough time. He's very low as well, though, but he's fighting this. There's the Lulu ultimate as well. Lee Sin coming in, shielding onto Reckles. Doublelift trying to pick up the kill and can't get it in time, so Cyanide with the turnaround saves them that bottom lane that that Doublelift and Locodoco were about to take an advantage in.
Unfortunately for CLG in that one, Cyanide came at the perfect timing. Vayne had already committed to the kill. Ultimate was popped. She wanted to try to take down Ezreal and get that advantage in her lane opponent. However, Lee Sin comes in at exactly the right time. Even though he walked the reward, like I mentioned, CLG already committed to that fight. There was no turning back at that point. They're able to snipe the kill on Doublelift. And because of this, they get this tower as well.
Oh, but they leave the tower up, so they actually just want to make sure they can use it to deny a couple more CS. They know that they're really happy with this lane. They get it low enough where, I mean, this next minion wave is going to take it, but it'll still, kill the one minion. So just a little bit of damage. But there's the turret. It does drop. They have a really nice advantage now. 2k gold lead. Chauster is actually making his way up in the top lane to try and pressure Soaz now, and this will be a game. Considering that he knew that Lee Sin was bot, can he land the Rupture is the question, but the stealth from Soaz, he gets out of there easily, and he can heal back up. So he's actually a little bit ahead of Hotshot in this lane right now.
We did see Lee Sin in the meantime picking up a Wriggles Lantern and an Oracle's Elixir. Hotshot and Chauster, though, not done with this one yet, but picking up that Wriggles Lantern means he's going to be able to ease to the jungle, and once again, they're going to be able to maybe contest some buffs with some of that forward ward coverage, which actually, they don't have anymore. Those wards have expired. We're going to have to see if they get that relatively soon. But that Oracle's Elixir, look down the river. There are red dots everywhere. Lee Sin is going to make back almost half of that money in just the amount of time it takes him to activate it.
Yeah, the Oracles is huge for both of these teams because there's been such aggressive warding from both of them. But CLG with a 2,500 gold deficit right now against Fnatic. Fnatic putting on a lot of pressure. This is exactly what they needed to do, get this gold lead, and then it doesn't matter what CLG's comp is later in the game. They can just bully them around. They have a team that's really great at picking up kills when they're ahead, and so Fnatic, continuing to abuse CLG right now, but we've seen CLG make some incredible comebacks in the past. I remember in the wildcard qualifier, Dignitas got up like 9-0 against CLG, and then CLG just came back, Dignitas getting caught out, and then Doublelift just, doing his thing on Vayne.
Fnatic may have the composition that is able to get ahead early on, however CLG has the team fight capabilities to turn it completely around no matter how far behind they are. If they put that Orianna ball on a Ragnarok Olaf, charging into the middle of the fight, they get the ultimate down and the Lulu ultimate chains together with that on top of everything. He's able to zone out Rekkles from the fight. They have the team cohesion, they have the thing where if they get together in a team fight and they have the proper positioning, they are going to be able to take out those primary targets from Fnatic. Xpeke, he's built Haunting guys, he has Sorcerer shoes, he's looking pretty scary right now, but he has no resistances and not a lot of HP. Still kind of squishy considering he's Katarina. You can zone out Ezreal as well as maybe take down Rengar, who is building a, well, he did build a Heart of Gold and now has gone back and gotten a Kindle Gem as well. He has a bit of HP. You can take them out of the team fight with those chain ultimates, you'll be in a fine place.
And Doublelift, seeing Xpeke, he started off running from Rekkles, and then seeing Xpeke coming in, he just realized he needed to go for it, tried to take down Rekkles. There's how much damage he had, and he hadn't even bought yet. So Rekkles had bought the BF sword, and he was sitting on 2 gold in his base. And so that's really just impressive how much damage Vayne has, and she can easily 1v1 Ezreal, even at a disadvantage. But Katarina picking up a kill, trying to slow down Vayne's farm, can be really devastating at this particular juncture in the game.
This is here. Olaf was trying to bait Soaz into something there, but he kind of recognized something was up, realizing that Hotshot was just being there, wandering around, not doing much. Now Soaz is going to be backing off a little bit. Hotshot does have a bit of an experience advantage because of how they've been trading and how much Chalister has been that top lane, kind of keeping Hotshot safe. However, one thing that Chalister hasn't done that he did a lot in the game as Lee Sin was roam towards that bottom lane and try to help out Doublelift and Loco. Considering that tower's already gone, they may have given up on it and just are going to let Doublelift farm for the time being, but I can't help but think that Chalister not being nearly as active on the map as he has been in these previous 2 games.
Yeah, and it's a lot of it's he was trying to put a lot of pressure, but Lee Sin, it's very difficult. If you miss any timings, they had the wards, they thought they were generally pretty safe and that he didn't need to counter out Lee Sin, but they were still able to put on pressure with it just because he's so strong. Now Chalister coming up top once again, trying to get Soaz, but he's going to have his ultimate once again, so he goes invis. He jumps over onto a minion, actually trying to hold on to it, and we'll see if he can stall long enough. There's the oracles, so Chalister's still chasing him down, missing the rupture, but actually Soaz jumping on the hotshot, the Lulu ultimate will protect him, and they pick up a kill there. The first kill for CLG of this game, trying to make that comeback, but Vayne doesn't have the same team objective gold that Ezreal does, and so with another mid turret down, that's going to be really dangerous for them.
Looks like they are going to stay the mid turret for now, but all Fnatic really has to do is blow on it and it will fall over. So there are going to be 3 towers down, all the forward towers in every single lane, annihilated from the side of CLG. Fnatic's going to use this, of course, with that Oracle's Elixir that Lee Sin's been walking around the entire map with to deny the vision to CLG and do exactly what CLG did to them in game number 1. Dragon is now respawned, and with no forward presence on the map, with all their front towers down, CLG is going to be hard-pressed to try to contest this when Fnatic decides to go for it.
Yeah, and CLG is actually going to go for it right now. So before Fnatic can even group, they were all back in base, and CLG should be able to take this in time. Cyanide could try for the steal, except that he doesn't have a ward to escape, so it would be really dangerous. He would lose his oracles, and that's definitely not worth it. So he backs off. They secure the dragon very easily, and that's going to help them pull back. So that is a huge, huge makeup for CLG. And we saw this kind of about the same spot we were at in the previous game, where it was like a 2k gold lead for CLG, and Fnatic was able to take the dragon to try and keep themselves into it, and they were able to slowly pick off members of CLG. But CLG, they know that their late game is just devilishly strong. So as long as they can keep even, not allow Fnatic to win any big fights, they're going to be okay. But Fnatic, they want that one opportunity to just ace CLG, and they have the damage to do it.
Yeah, and if they are able to keep on top of their objectives and at least secure their own buffs, if they can contest those dragons or take them away like they were there. They took out Soaz. All of them were recalled back to base at the same time. As soon as they identified that mid tower was going to fall, they all motioned down the dragon and took it before Fnatic, like you said, was able to go back and group up in order to contest it. Hotshot down in a little bit of a scary place, getting about half HP as Xpeke burns the Death Lotus to do so. But Fnatic, realizing that we're on the aggressive already, we can be aggressive against CLG at this point. They want to try to force them into their own base and get basically the advantages of the entire map, so that even if the game starts going into late game and Vayne starts getting a little bit fed, CLG is going to be so far defensive in their base that maybe Fnatic, they'll be able to cancel out that endgame Vayne by having a stronger Ezreal.
Yeah, you see, they're looking to pressure this turret. They drop the ward on the backside so that they can pressure it there, but they have a lot of, Fnatic has a lot of burst damage if they can force a fight here. It seems they're going to have to back off, though, because Orianna is incredibly strong. You saw how much she bursted down Leona there, and she can also stall particularly well. So she's a really nice defensive AP carry, and now CLG, they're actually looking to force this, but Doublelift, he actually just bought a Bloodthirster, so he's very strong. And now Leona hits everyone, and then Rengar jumps in, instantly clearing up CLG. There's the combo double kill for Xpeke, jumping the triple kill, and oh my god, Fnatic just destroyed CLG in that fight with all of their AoE damage.
CLG was there in 1 second, they were gone. They were absolutely evaporated. I thought CLG was going to have a little bit of the advantage when it came to a tight AoE-centric fight. The Orianna ultimate went off after the Leona ultimate, though, so there was no, the engagement was from Fnatic, so they had to jump on CLG. Even though Doublelift came into the fray with a Bloodthirster, he was immediately taken down because of how squishy.
Xpeke avoids the rupture. They're going to be able to pressure this Baron, but if Chaucer loses that Oracles, that's going to be brutal. He's forced to flash out. Rupturing again, he's able to hit Xpeke, so Xpeke is not going to be able to get back there in time, but the rest of the team taking that Baron, and that is a devastating fight for them. The teleport in from Hotshot, he's actually coming in. He's going to try and force this, but it's a 5v1. I don't know what Hotshot thinks he can do. He drops the ward and backs off. So just real quick, trying to come in, see if they're low, see, since it was somewhat of an early Baron, see if any of them, you know, were in that kill range. That would have been a nice comeback for them. But Fnatic taking control of that game with the tight clump in, you know, by the blue side, they were just able to get them. And CLG, they got a little excited. They, you know, they thought that they could maybe string along Fnatic or just, you know, chase them down when Fnatic wasn't expecting it, and Doublelift had just bought a big item, but everyone was caught in the AoE, and they just comboed AoE after AoE after AoE, and Doublelift couldn't cleanse it all.
And the worst part about this was the Orianna ultimate wound up hitting two members. I believe it was Cyanide, and I believe it was N-rated. So Soaz was left to his own disposal, dealing out the damage he can as Rengar. Even though he's built a little bit on the tankier side, we talked about how powerful Rengar is and how long his cooldowns are. He just went in there, burst them down, got them low enough for Xpeke to get those resets. Rekkles, of course, providing the AoE damage as well as a little bit of spell damage from being Ezreal, just in general. And they were able to absolutely devastate CLG. Yeah. We talked about in picks and bends, like, hey, CLG dominated game 1. It was relatively even game number 2. Is Fnatic going to dominate CLG in game number 3? And right now, with a 7-1 kill lead, about 6,000 gold advantage, maybe 6,500 gold, they are. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, the answer is yes right now. And you saw how much AoE Rengar had, which is why the AP Rengar was so strong for a time before they nerfed it some, just because he just does so much damage with that double W, and you know the Ezreal and Leona, everything, you know, comboing on the CLG. They need to be a little bit more defensive. Doublelift backing off for a second. Xpeke just slowly wearing him down. Doublelift was actually forced to use his ultimate and still not able to chase him down. And so Fnatic, they're actually just forcing all of the lanes to split. There's the Rengar jumping on a Hotshot. He's forced to use his ultimate, and now Fnatic will be able to pressure that turret while they're forcing the other ones, and Lee Sin is actually coming his way up here too, so they can grab this turret.
It looks like if they don't dive the turret, they're at least putting pressure on it so they can try to take it. Xpeke going in on Doublelift, but he does get the Lulu ultimate from Lokodoko. Good ward over the wall to Shumpo away. Flash after from Doublelift. He wants to get the chase down, but Xpeke going to turn around, melts Doublelift down. Lokodoko almost falling under the pressure as well, but Xpeke going to leave, knowing that someone else is coming in from the side. Chaucer at that Oracle's Elixir being chased down by N-rated, and most of Fnatic starting to rotate towards this mid lane here, but it does look like that CLG, they got to change something up they want to hang in this game.
Yeah, Doublelift just trying to make a big play. They know they're really far behind. They need to make things happen in order to come back in this game. And so normally he wouldn't go for that fight. He knows that, you know, XPK has so much burst damage that it would be dangerous, but he wanted to just see if he could just instantly kill XPK, get the vision advantage first, and, you know, maybe bring them back into it. So not able to get it, but, you know, it was an effort. Hotshot now caught out of position, though. He's coming up top for Soaz. When they don't own their jungle, they have no control over it. And these kind of deaths could really quickly just end this game for CLG and prevent the threat of a comeback.
It's just a flip-flop reversal of game number 1. 9-1 now in the kills from Fnatic. It's about 23 minutes into the game. They still have that Baron buff ticking away on them, and they're sieging on the towers of CLG. Once again, Doublelift getting
flash
caught
kick.
up, dying.
Cyanide with the beautiful play. Leona ult misses. Big Fat still trying to get out of there, but Rengar jumping in. They pick up the kill, and they're going to be able to force down this turret. It's very low. There's no one to defend it. Everyone is up for Fnatic right now. Only 2 members for CLG, so there's an inhibitor. And then guess what? XPK, he's pushing down the bottom. There's another 30 seconds for Big Fat. There's another 15 seconds for Doublelift. Well, that means everyone can just transition right down to the bot lane, try and take that inhibitor, or go into the mid and take that one as well.
Doublelift may have bit off more than you can chew, saying that Rekkles was a trash AD carry Vayne, if I recall correctly. And well, unfortunately, Doublelift is currently 0-5, and he's just racking up the deaths in this fight. CLG, they can't even defend their own inhibitor turrets at this point. Fnatic is so far ahead. Leona's going to go into Locodoka, not even fearing for her own life anymore, as he knows that Chowster and Hotshot not going to provide enough damage. Shirelia's Reverie from Hotshot, but look at XPK, jumps in the middle of everybody by himself. Cyanide's going to mop up there on Chowster. Rekkles going to pick up the kill on Hotshot GG. True Shot barrage across the place. XPK going to get the reset as everybody
going
just
as well.
dies.
Cyanide wants this one last kill, but XPK with so much damage. Orianna trying to grab it, picks up one, but it doesn't matter. Leona going down as well. That's going to be another inhibitor for them. Triple kill. He actually grabbed Katarina as well, so Big Fat stalling them off a little bit.
But the surrender
that is
vote.
too much. There's the surrender from CLG. They know that game is over. Once XPK can jump into their team and do that much damage, a 7-1-5 Katarina, he just jumped in, shumpoed, and the Rupture, because they don't have instant speed, disables. You know, Lulu, yes, Orianna, yes, but they need to set it up. If Katarina can get that much damage on their team, they are going to lose every single fight. They were so far behind. Fnatic, with incredible play, they just beat CLG down 1-0, turning the series around 2-1 for the victory.
And the worst part about that is for CLG, they had Fnatic in their base. They had them to disengage off their turret. They activated the Shirelias to chase after them because they had an advantage in a 4v5 situation. When XPK on Katarina can Shunpo into the team by herself and just absolutely obliterate you, get you all down below half, then you know you're basically done for. You know, Orianna tried to do the best she could. She did want to get picking up that triple kill at the end, but it was kind of at the point where Fnatic was, well, we eliminated everybody but one on your team. We have one inhibitor down from you already. We could take this one. You're going to have 2 inhibitors down. Doesn't really matter. 2 people are still alive in your base. CLG, we saw the progression of Fnatic. Like there's a story behind this. It's almost like you know, like a storybook. Fnatic in game number 1, they looked extremely weak. CLG was able to exploit them through wards and vision. CLG looked extremely strong. Game number 2, Fnatic, they got rid of the Twisted Fate, which, not even thinking about it, that ultimate gives you vision on everybody. So that added on top of the ward coverage that Lee Sin got from Chowster. They took Lee Sin away from CLGNA. Then they got the Oracle's Elixirs to deny vision. Towards the end of the game, they started warding up everywhere on CLG's side of the map, and they were able to win team fights by catching people up because they could see where they were. CLG started falling apart and cracking at the seams. They started getting caught out of place. That just came into culmination at the end of that game where Doublelift he would die, revive, die for no reason.
Well, it was the one team fight. CLG tried to force the fight by blue. They wanted their one opportunity. And the reason they were trying to force it, they had a really nice timing where they had all just bought a couple of items. They were very strong at that point in the game. Orianna at that point in time had the Chalice. Well, guess what? She ended the game with had the Athenes. She ended the game with the Athenes. So Big Fat didn't get any further than that. Doublelift, he had the Bloodthirster for that fight. Well, guess what? He ended the game with the Bloodthirster. So that was the strongest they were the entire game. And they also knew that even if they skill very well into late game, so does Katarina, so do some of the other champions for Fnatic. And they knew, all right, we want to hit this timing. We all just bought our really big items. We can't allow Fnatic to get into that Katarina late game. Let's see what we can do here. Unfortunately, they were all clumped up in a small AoE. They didn't think that Fnatic was ready for the fight. That's why they all ran in. They didn't think they were ready. And being clumped up in that AoE, Fnatic just destroyed them. And that one team fight was what lost the game. Fnatic was playing a beautiful game before then. They had a gold lead, but it wasn't very significant. CLG was holding on. It was a very even matchup. But that one team fight gave Fnatic the massive goal lead, gave Fnatic the Baron. It set everything in motion that resulted in that victory for Fnatic. And it was really impressive play. The Katarina in particular, first time not being banned, being picked by XPK, won the game, won the first game against TPA as well. So that's definitely a champion that I would ban against XPK. I don't know if you can allow him to play Katarina at this point.
Everybody's really afraid of Diana, but they forget how strong Katarina is at the same exact time. People are kind of thinking like, okay, well, Diana, of course, she can initiate fights. That's a big, scary thing about Diana. She can come in and clean up duty. She can initiate the fights. Or she could set things up with her Moonfall. So if you have a Diana, if you have a Lulu or something like that, you're going to have a combo there that's in a very dangerous spot. Everybody's so worried about that, they forget about the fact that, okay, Katarina's still on the table. Even the same thing when we've seen Curse playing with Voidboy on Akali. People forget that these assassin-like champions, their job is mainly cleanup duty. Diana's scary because she's redefined that role for a second and has the initiation to couple with this. Everybody is now forgetting that, okay, well, there's some AoE damage. Like there's Ezreal with True Shot Barrage. Rengar is able to jump in and get some damage out on 1 or 2 targets as well as get that roar off to keep him alive. They had Lee Sin coming in who was able to, of course, add some damage with the Tempest and Cripple as well as being able to Dragon's Rage and set something up. Then all of a sudden Katarina comes in, gets the AoE down 1, 2, 3, melts everybody away. And some people just seem to forget. Game number 2, Katarina was 1-4-7. She wasn't that big of a threat until the last team fight of the game. So maybe CLG thought they had a cap on the Katarina. Well, the cap blew completely off of that when they just lost control of the game.
One fight with Katarina is all that it takes, or even just farming effectively throughout the game. But really impressive play from Fnatic. They're still in the winner's bracket. CLG, they moved down to the loser's bracket. I'm not exactly sure who they're going to be facing because there's a couple of scary guys. M5 and Azubu Blaze, they're in the loser's bracket facing off against each other. CLG might face the winner of that game, or they might face the winner, or they might face TPA. So they have a really tough road. Fnatic, really impressive play though. I mean, they are just blowing everyone's minds with this tournament right now, and everyone's playing at such a high level. Thanks, guys, once again for tuning in. This has been IPL 5. We've been really happy to have you. It's been a great tournament. It's been great here at the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas. We've been having a fun time, but we also would like to thank all of our sponsors because they make this happen. Riot Games, makes this happen with their incredible game. Twitch TV, with the broadcast, so we always appreciate that. But definite shout out to Speedstick. Don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. Handle it with Speedstick. So definitely, guys, thank you there. Championselect.net. Check them out. LOLPro. All the guys at Origin PC. They've been providing us with these really awesome computers for all of the guys to be playing with. And
Aren't they giving one away too?
We are giving one away if you actually still are doing the voting system on the main stream, and it's actually on the side stream as well. So if you're on IGN.com/IPL, we have our voting app, and you can vote for the games, and then you can vote across multiple games, and whoever has the highest score at the end of the weekend, they're actually going to be able to win an Origin PC. So that's definitely a cool giveaway, guys. Make sure you check that out. There's an iPhone app if you want to do that as well. But that is it, Tom. That was a really cool game. I was really happy to be able to look at that. And that'll be it. We're going to go over to a quick commercial break, and we'll be back shortly with some more games. Thanks, guys. This is IPL 5.